Well, good morning. It's Dr. Bill Williams on the Influencers Podcast. Here we are again. It's Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. I think it's a good day because we're here safe at home while everybody else is on the road, taking chances, traveling up and down those interstates. So we're glad to be here, and we're going to talk with Gus Calabrese, the events guy. Big events, small events, what size events? Where are those events? We want to know. Gus, tell us all about the events business that you're in.
All right, thanks, Dr. Bill. So I've been in the events business for full time since about 2002, and I produced everything from small wine tasting for 15 people to concerts and bar crawls that were in excess of 15,000 people. So,
wow.
I've done everything today. These days, I focus on the corporate market, especially the utility industry, and we produce a women's conference. That's our main focus these days. So,
well, I think you're going to have a good audience here then, because we are interested in events. We've actually partnered with Best Events out of Dubai. So we don't know a lot, but we want to learn more as a group of people on the podcast here that are entrepreneurs, and we're all kind of focused on serving humanity, doing things that are helping people and bringing people together for common causes. So what you're doing is right down our alley, and people probably want to know a lot. What was the way you got into this?
it's really interesting. I used to tell people that my first real event was when I was 14 years old, but I realized my first real event was when I was 8 years old. And I had a lemonade stand, and I had the lemonade stand for about an hour. And I realized, we were not on a high traffic location, and there was no way I was going to sell lemonade. And my heart wasn't into it. So the next day we decided to create a neighborhood circus, and we borrowed the neighbor's dog and put it in a tent and dressed it up like a lion. And literally we sold tickets, and I think we made $6 that day. So that was my really first event at 8 years old. But the reality of where I am today, during the dot-com boom, the first dot-com boom in 2000s, we started acquiring data in the form of email lists, and we had a magazine. And our customers, we did such a great job. The company was called Social Philly. It was based in the Philadelphia market. And we did such a great job of promoting the businesses that came to us. The businesses started asking us, especially the restaurant, bars, and clubs, and asked us if we could bring bodies to their locations on nights they were slow. So we started coming up with all kinds of ideas on how to get people into bars, restaurants, and clubs on the slow nights of the week. And that's what really escalated the events business for us. Our email list went from 4,500 people to 28,000 people in the course of 18 months. And now that email list in Philadelphia alone is about 380,000 people who follow us.
Well, they say your income is directly related to the size of your list. So yeah, I can see where you're going.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's in there.
What was some of the things you did early or recently, even if you had a failure that you learned something from that you can share how you recovered from it?
I'll tell you, my biggest failure was COVID. In 2009, 2008, 2009, when the economy hit the brakes, I was in the enviable and naive position my business was in great demand in the events business. I didn't realize it, but by the whole rest of the economy was dying, we were flying. People were hiring us to bring people in the lipstick economy. People couldn't afford to go out to eat, but they could afford or would be willing to pay $40 to $45 to go to a 3-hour wine tasting. So when we got through that, and I realized, like, man, that economy was pretty bad, and I was untouched. I need to make sure that I'm never in that position myself. So I started acquiring other events businesses, and we have 7 companies, and I could ride out any economy. Everything's great. The only problem was when COVID hit, all my businesses relied on people meeting in person, and it brought our empire to a screeching halt. And I was so angry at myself for not being diversified or realizing that was coming. And by far, it was my biggest failure. I mean, to be honest, I'm lucky I'm alive. I was so depressed. It was a bad time for me, and I was lucky I got out of it. So we did some great things to get out of it, and in hindsight, I'm thankful for COVID, but it was my biggest failure. So
you kind of developed your hybrid.
Bill, if you can repeat that, you broke up just a little bit there.
Yeah, the internet went out on us, I think, for a second. How did you? I was asking. You developed your hybrid concept pretty much from going through the COVID thing. You got digital, video, virtual, along with your events.
So what we did, we bumbled along for about 3 months, and we ran into some mentorship programs, and we jumped full in with both feet and got some mentors to help us get to the next level. We didn't know what we didn't know. And they talked us through and helped us develop new products, new ways to reach our audience, and new ways to market to those people in the new economy. And now, incidentally, we're one of the few event producers that are producing all of our events for the business and corporate world as hybrid. And I got to be honest, it's like running a live TV show, and it's brutal at times, but it allows us to reach a much larger audience.
Yeah, if you're talking to people about your event business and you have a lot of experience in it, what are the 3 top reasons people fail when they're putting on events?
Number one, they don't get the right people or enough people in the room. I was talking last month. We were in a workshop, and the woman had been in the business for 40 years, and she said, it's exactly what she said. She said people just don't. They underestimate how difficult it is to get people into the room. Number 2, they underestimate the cost. It is very expensive to put on an event properly. Your AV costs, your catering costs, your staffing, not to mention that the cost on man hours. When we produce a business conference for 2 days, it's a 6 a.m. to midnight ordeal for 2 days. And I would think number 3 would be underestimating the amount of details that go into planning an event. And even today, I've been doing this for a long time. We have dozens and dozens of checklists. And it's a simple fact that you learn over the years. I remember back before we were using checklists, back when we were just doing business networking events, showing up. I think this was the time we built our first checklist, was showing up without pens. We're like, okay, we got a thing here to check everybody in. It was not digital at the time. Like, did anybody bring pens? We're like running to the CVS to go buy pens to work the front door. So
checklists are so important. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's just, there's so many.
What's
details.
the big thing that motivates you to keep going and doing what you're doing?
Well, I tell this story, Mike. There's 2 things. My goal at every event is I drink vodka on the rocks. My goal at every event is the event be running so smooth that if we're at the networking event or I'm throwing a big party, that I'm walking around and I have a vodka on the rocks in my hand and I'm talking to the guest, and they don't realize that I'm the guy who ran the whole event. It usually comes into especially in the social world, it comes into I'll ask them, how did you find out about the event? And then they'll mention one of my websites, and they'll say, well, how did you find out about the event? And I'm like, I'm the guy running the event. And they're like, no way, no way. And then somebody will come up to me and ask a question. They're like, you are the guy running the event. And I'm like, yeah. So then the next thing is, you do this full time? And I'm like, yeah, like 80 hours a week. And we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to build the business. And then they say, what did you go to school for? I went to school for petroleum engineering. Like, how did that ever get to being in the events business? But the details and stuff like that. These days, the best thing that we hear, especially with the women's conference, and I'm partners in the women's conference with my spouse, at the end of the events or weeks after the events, we hear, you changed our lives. Before attending that event, I had no idea. And that's like, that's just the reason we work so hard is we're changing their lives. Before I was offering people an amazingly great time that they've never experienced before. Now we're changing their lives. So that's what
Wonderful.
motivates us to keep going.
Yeah, and women can really appreciate it because they're usually the ones that organize all the events in our lives.
Yes.
They appreciate when you do a great job.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah.
Do you have a motto for the company?
Our company, we have a mission on the women's conference is to help 4 billion women advance their lives. There's 4 billion women on this planet. We want to help every single one of them if possible. And
your vision and our vision are going to match pretty perfectly. We even have something called Oh Woman, which is one of our initiatives to raise women up around the world. And we have another program called Oh Bless to help nonprofits and startups and, religious organizations and even innovation labs get going to start up new businesses.
That's fantastic. I always when we run, especially our women's conferences, and 80% of the people in the U.S. tend to be negative or tend to be status quo or just they're letting life push them along. And at some point during our conference, every time I'll say, listen, you're in this room. You spent X amount of dollars to be here. You have it better than 99.99% of the people who have ever lived on this planet. It just understand. And I had this conversation the last event we did. We're in San Diego. We're on the bay, and it was a beautiful scene. And there were people complaining about, I can't do this. I'm like, are you effing kidding me? Like, look at this world you live in, these opportunities you have. And people have to be kicked in the butt a little bit to get out of their comfort zone.
They were sailing on San Francisco or San Diego Bay.
Yeah, we were in San Diego on Mission Bay. And it was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful scene. And we do an event there every year, and it's just it's very cool. And
they should understand that this is heaven on earth right there.
It really is. And people, we have this opportunity, and it's our obligation to be successful as human beings. It's our obligation to be better versions of ourselves and help those around us. So,
in your business, do you have 3 success secrets that people can model from?
Contacts. Your contacts turn into contracts, and the more contacts you have, you mentioned this earlier to a degree. Your contacts help you out. Number 2 is I'm super, super inquisitive. I've always been inquisitive, and from one of my mentors, I learned it even to a greater extent. Sometimes I see a word, and I think I know the meaning of it, and then I just immediately, we have these devices today. I'm like, you know what? I'm not sure I know the meaning of that word. I look it up and look at the definition. I'm like, wow, that meaning is different than I really thought it was. So that being super inquisitive, I'm also. Someone asked me last year at an event for event professionals. We were in Germany, and they said, "What's your superpower?" One of my superpowers is I can see things unfolding before they go there. Whatever that is, and especially in the events industry, I'll constantly watch the service staff or the lines and things that are going on, and I'll see a problem occur before it happens. I'm able to jump in. And my business partners and stuff be like, how did you see that coming? I'm just like, I've been doing it long enough, or it goes back to being inquisitive. I keep attention. I watch everything happening at one time, and I'm very fortunate that I can do that. And quite frankly, my spouse, who's my partner in 2 of the businesses, she doesn't see anything happening, and it's all good. I don't see what she sees in our speakers and our sponsors at times, but I'm very fortunate that way. Well.
So it sounds like you have Gestalt. You see a piece of a puzzle, you understand the entire puzzle.
100%. Yes. And even
these days. Yeah, you said something that rang a bell for me. You talk about see a word, look it up. I was reading two novels on my vacation last week down in Cancun. So I finished this one novel, and it was like science fiction, and it was geared to 10th graders, very low level of verbal excellence.
Mm-hmm.
The words in there, there wasn't a single word in the book that I didn't already know. Then the next novel I picked up that I planned to read was Dean Koontz.
Yeah.
Well, he's got a great vocabulary, and so every page I had to look up a new word that I had never seen or used in context.
Oh,
So I did appreciate Dean Koontz much more.
Yeah, I get that. I'm fantastic. I glance through the New York Times every day online, and often I have to look up a word like, what did they use that word for? What do they really mean?
So
that's funny.
Tell me why somebody should buy from you.
We create, and for the utility industry, we create a unique, contained environment where you get to go everybody in the room before you leave. Sometimes our competitors throw these big 10, 15, 20,000 person conferences, and you go there for 3 or 4 days and you're like, oh my God, I know this person was there and I didn't get to see them. Our conferences are small and intimate. We're 100 people or fewer by design. And you will know over the course of 2 days, you will know everybody in the room and have action steps moving forward. Uniquely we do a conference for the utility industry called Change Management for Utilities. And then we do the Power Conference with Advanced Women in Utilities. Both of those events come with a monthly group coaching call. So after you attend the initial event, and we do them each 3 times a year, you can rejoin with the other people who've attended the event for an hour and rehash. We usually bring one of the speakers back and we go over 20 minutes of what they spoke about, and we rehash and bring out what has changed in your life since you attended the conference. So that's something that's not a whole lot of other conference producers are providing.
God, that is a unique proposition, a USP, unique sales proposition. I've not heard that before. It's brilliant to guarantee that you're going to know and have connections to everybody in the room at your event, because most people go to those events to make connections.
Yeah. So we often, especially with our sponsors, and it's because our events are small and intimate, we have a high cost per head. Like people ask, well, can I just come for free? And literally it costs us in the hundreds of dollars per head to be there, to have somebody in the room. And a lot of times with sponsors, and especially in the utility industry is very locked down. I would beg anybody to try to call the local utility and speak to the director of human resources. Call me next week and let me know how that went, because I know you didn't get a hold of them on your own. But for our sponsors, a lot of times our close will be, do you just want to be in the room with the people who know the people that you need to know? Or what's it cost you to get a new client? And then they start laughing, and it's like, yeah, okay, you need to be in the room. So
who is your ideal client? You're talking about the utility industry.
In the utility industry, our ideal client is the person. It's usually a VP or a director level who needs their team trained or more knowledge on a given subject. And they're the ones that usually pull the purse strings. They're very difficult to get a hold of. But once we do, they usually say, hey, this person from my team are going to come to your conference. That's our ideal client.
And who are the type of people that you would have as sponsors who want to meet these folks?
A lot of our sponsors are large consultant companies that solve big problems for the utility industry. We all. I don't know anyone that loves their utility. You don't hear anybody say, oh my God, I cannot wait to pay my bill to the utility. The reality is, here in the United States, the utilities provide such a service and we take it for granted. I was in Mexico, at a deep part of Merida, Mexico, in the past year. You cannot drink the water there. It's surprising to me. You really can't wash even washing your mouth out with it. You're not supposed to, you shouldn't be doing that. We ingest water from our utilities. So that being said, these utilities have big problems to solve, limited budgets, big problems. So they bring in outside consultancies, and they're our ideal sponsorship clients. They bring in outside consultancies to help to assist them in fixing these big problems or overcoming these large hurdles and challenges within their organization. A lot of times, especially with the change management, the problem is the person sitting behind the desk, because they've been doing things for 20 years the same way and they don't want to change. And so the change management consultants are a great client of ours. And
do you find your clients or do they find you?
very interesting question. Up until recently, I had to go find my clients. My spouse, business partner, has been in this industry for 26 years. We have a very large customer list. We have been using, we use LinkedIn primarily as our source for new clients, and it's very effective for us. But recently the phone's been ringing inbound, which means we're doing a good job of getting our marketing messages out there. So that's nice.
You mentioned you did 100 or less trade show type things, power conferences. What else do you do? What are your well-defined products and services? And while you're at it, mention where you're headed.
Yeah, 100%. So we have utilityevents.com is our main company that falls underneath the umbrella of Conferences Connect. Conference Connect is a parent company. Under utilityevents.com, we run 3 conferences: the change management for utilities program. We run the Power Conference to Advance Women in Utilities, and then we run the Customer Engagement and Social Media Conference. Each one of those have attendees, sponsors, partners in them. Then the underneath Conferences Connect umbrella, the separate company is the Advanced Woman program, where we help women advance their lives, careers, families. And we run conferences for that, and we focus them industry specific and job specific. We do entrepreneurs, tech, aerospace, and the utility event was the first one in there. And then as an other product, Ashley and I, my partner and I, we're hired to run third-party conferences. People get in trouble. They think the conference, especially associations elect a committee to run a conference. We run about 12 utility events a year. We have team members. Each event requires hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of labor to run. And an association will say, we're going to run a 2-day or 3-day conference, and they'll elect 3 people in the organization who have full-time jobs, who volunteer for the association, and then are supposed to run the event. And quite frankly, if they can pull it off successfully, kudos to them, but I rarely see that done. So we get hired by associations to help them and put our processes in place to help them run their events.
Have you ever done a big dental event?
I have not. But
yeah, I've attended hundreds of them, anywhere from, 10,000 attendees down.
Yeah.
And some of them I put on, some of them that I was in charge of, but mostly those things are huge extravaganzas, almost like the Academy Awards sometimes.
100%. I mean, the most complex event I was ever a part of, we did the world's largest bar crawl, and it was 15,000 people one day in Philly, and we were trying to break the Guinness Book of World Records. And the Guinness Book of World Records record at the time was about 4,600 people participating in a bar crawl. And basically 4,600 people, or each person had to go to 10 different locations and drink a little less than 5 ounces of a product. It wasn't necessarily alcohol. We had non-alcohol sponsors. But we had to, one of the complexities of, we're checking people in and checking people out as they came to each bar. And then we had 106 bars on the program and 300 one-day employees we never met. The logistics, we actually hired. So when you get to the bigger events, we hired we partnered with our biggest competition in the city, and then we hired two of our other biggest competitors to run certain parts of the program. So we basically had Philadelphia's 4 largest event producers running that event, and there were just a lot of moving parts. When you get into those big conferences, we attend a conference called IMEX each year. It's for the event professionals, and it happens in Germany, and it just happened in Vegas last month. They have a team of 50 people that the only thing these 50 people do is run these 2 conferences for a year. And it's a big, big undertaking. So, yes, they are very large. You have to hire other people to do that, hire other companies to do that.
I'm sure these people that have regular jobs, full-time jobs that are volunteers to put on organizations really do need to hire people like yourselves. Take that burden of professionalism and really do it right.
100%. You know, it's interesting because we always start with what's the goal? Who's the shareholders? Who's the stakeholders of the event? And what's their goal and what's a win for each one of them? And then designing the event and the experience around that.
Yep. And it can be hundreds of thousands of dollars to put on some of these events, easily millions.
Bill, my events are hundreds of thousands of dollars and they're small. So yes, it's in the millions. We attend an event each year that has about 6,500 people at it, and it's in the it's in the entrepreneur space. It cost them, excuse me, $13 million to put on a 3-day event. Yeah.
Who puts the bill for these things typically? Sponsor?
A combination of sponsor. So our events are 100% paid for by sponsors and attendees revenue. Other events might be an association where part of the revenues are offset by sponsorship and things like that. And then other events are and can be marketing events. You see some of these big business guys that are out there and are selling a $50 ticket. They can't rent a chair in the room for $50. They're relying on selling a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 package to a certain percentage of the attendees. And that's the big game on that. So
been to a lot of those. I understand that totally. Being part of GKIC and Dan Kennedy's group.
Yeah.
Now, do you have brand ambassadors that put the word out about you?
We do. We use primarily our speakers as brand ambassadors. We give them, we create content around them. We try to do pre-interviews with them. And then as the events take place, we use our speakers as and their clips to promote the next event. And
they don't mind that a bit, do they?
Well, not at all. And especially in the utility industry, usually part of their career development is to be out on the speaking circuit.
You too can be a star.
100%. Well, they need to develop it to speak. I mean, again, the utilities, it's not uncommon for a U.S. utility to have 10 to 40,000 employees, and a director or VP might have to address 1,000 of them at a given time, and you need to learn how to address a crowd or speak to a crowd and field questions and things like that. It's a skill that needs to be developed.
Absolutely. Well, tell us, Gus, what are you grateful for today?
Wow, I am super grateful at the opportunities we have in 2024. We spent the last month, our last conference was a month ago, and our phone has been ringing with opportunities coming into us. And I'm wise enough, old enough, been doing this long enough to recognize the good from the bad, or the possible good from the bad and the immediate bad. And we were sitting here in our office yesterday, just like, oh my God, look how much things we have going on for 2024. It's phenomenal. And that's what I'm most grateful for. I'm happy to make some changes and, impact this world. I mean, just do what I can to make people.
And you've developed your business enough to where you can pick and choose your clients. You don't have to take everybody just to survive.
It's more. Yeah, part of that. It's more picking and choosing the new opportunities. I have people constantly, can you help us with this? Can we help? Can you be involved with this? And I make X amount of dollars doing it myself. Why would I share that revenue when it looks like I'm doing all the work with you? I guess that's a part of it that I have to look at that. Meanwhile, if it's a completely different audience and, I can help out, I'm not in the dental space. You say, hey, I think we can do this in the dental space. I'd be more than happy to have a conversation about that and see if that works and for our synergies work together to create something there.
So you have a goal to get into Europe and become multi-continental. Tell us about that.
100%. So in 2020, we actually got an event scheduled in Barcelona, Spain, for change management for the utility industry. And the reality is, until May of this year, the events we did in May were the first time we did not hear the word COVID as a blocker for somebody coming to our events. We've had a goal of being in Europe. We've worked in Europe in the 2000s, but we're looking to get back to Europe and run our utility products over there. So I'm super excited about that. Cost of doing business for events is a little easier over there also.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I've been to many good events in Europe, traveling as a speaker and being in international associations of dentists, traveling to exotic places and having extremely large groups where we had simultaneous translation in some places, serial in other places. So it can get involved when you do it international. Yeah,
that's so cool. And part of us going, we've been to Europe for since 2019, and obviously without COVID, but the last 3 years we've been to Europe exploring opportunities over there and what's available. And that translation software is kind of cool. The stuff that's happening, and again, the cost of doing business. We just did some consulting. You mentioned Dubai earlier. We did some consulting on an event in Dubai, and I was shocked at the cost of doing business being so much less than it is in the U.S.
Even that's not common in Dubai. Things are usually more expensive there, but not the events.
What they do is they include the food. They include the food, and a lot of the package deals is a big thing. In the U.S., the cost of working with hotels is very expensive, but it's just easiest way. I can say it's the easiest way. It's the least resistant way to host an event. So,
our home office is in Dubai, so I totally understand a lot of what you say there. It's a unique place to be. So what advice, if you're looking back on your life, what would you give yourself advice as a 20-year-old now, talking to your young self?
Move faster. Go faster, go take opportunities stronger. I was pretty aggressive in my 20s, but I was also my 25th birthday was my worst birthday. I was not the multimillionaire I envisioned myself being. By 28, I was worth a lot of money, and by 30, I was near bankrupt. So I think I would have went faster in different things. I would not have wasted as much time as I wasted in my 20s. So
you did the up and down roller coaster, live life, and enjoyed all the experiences.
I had a conversation with someone yesterday. I don't know if you know Ray. I'm sure you know Ray Dalio, a great investor. I read one of his books and got to the end of the book, and he basically says, it doesn't get easier. He said, I hate to say that, and we now have multiple mentors. We use them. And we hear that all the time. And I was giving advice to another business owner, like, it doesn't get easier. We have more knowledge and more tools on how to overcome normal problems. They say, or what we thought was a challenge in our 20s, 30s, 40s, now is like, oh my God, that's a joke. But now we got these bigger challenges. So
yeah, you spoke of mentor. That was really something I wanted to ask the next question of who's your number one mentor right now?
Grant Cardone.
Grant
Cardone.
10X man.
Yeah, we spend a lot of money and a lot of time with him and his organization, but that's the organization that saved us from COVID. And I don't know if you know Grant. Grant's a little brash, comes off really strong. My spouse was not super keen on him, and I jumped in. I spent some money with him, and every time I spent money, every time I got advice, it worked. And the money, I made more money, and it just my business. The whole reason we have hybrid events is because of Grant Cardone. The whole reason that we do the not just Grant Cardone, and the amazing organization that he has built to help business owners get to the next level, and it's all simple. It's not easy. And you need to hear stuff again and again and again and again. I know in your industry and a lot of the medical field, I was close to the medical field, never worked in. I was close to the medical field. A lot of people get out of their training, doctors, dentists, and wow, now I don't have to do anything anymore. Now I just have to be a dentist, or now I just have to be a doctor. Right? The reality is, I'm a business owner. Yeah, so what? Now that the real work begins, you've built your business, you've built your platform. Now, if you really want to make money, you got to learn how to scale it, how to serve your customers, how to create new products, and keep people interested in you. So
you don't really make money as a professional, as a dentist or a physician, but you do when you start scaling.
100%. So we have a scaling mentor also, Brandon Dawson, who's actually partners with Grant Cardone, but different organization. And if I knew what I knew now when I was in my 20s, life would be a lot different. What I learned from there.
What would you say is the reason that being impactful is important to you?
I like seeing people grow. I like watching people. I didn't know that, and get to the next level. And especially, we're all, as human beings, we like to stay the same. No one wants to change. Even as much as people are like, gosh, you're a go-getter, you're doing everything all the time. I don't want to change. I don't want to do anything. I want things to be just how they are, everything being great, but you have to push yourself out there. And when you see somebody have that breakthrough and they did something that we recommended or told them that, hey, you have this opportunity in your life, go for it. I have a great story around this. One of Ashley's, one of my spouse's good friends came into our program, and she had a chip on her shoulder. And it turns out that she was in the military, life military. She's since retired, and she was angry and upset and running her life through the filter of the military would not let women fly. And she was still angry about this 20 years later. So we spent a weekend with her and helped her develop herself. And I told her, I said, you need to go fly. You need to go get your pilot's license. I expect you in the next couple of weeks to be in a plane. Sure enough, a couple of weeks later, she's got pictures of her flying around. And then one day she was doing a walk around on the plane, and she had a video. She said, well, I can't fly today because there's an oil leak on the engine. I immediately text her. I said, how do you like your new problems? I said, we changed her life. I mean, literally, she had a filter on her for 20 years, and she's now like as happy as can be over the last 2 years since we've had that kind of just finding out what makes her tick, or anybody, not just her. I call it having a conversation. I can get really deep with somebody and find out what's your problem. I hate to say that, but I'll figure out what's going on, and I'll give you the advice. You might not like the advice. You got choices. You might not like them, but there are choices.
Yeah, it sounds like your experience leads you to be able to diagnose and be an impactful person in consulting and coaching ways. So I was involved in running masterminds and coaching people. One of my, you made me think of something when you say you'd like to change people's lives. I wrote a book that has an interesting title.
Oh, I love that. That awesome title.
We figured out how to be successful in terms of efficiency and consistency. So I did that kind of production every day for like 15, 16 years. And so as I was teaching other dentists, I said, what do I need to teach them? What's the most important thing I know that they don't know? So that's where the book came from. I wrote the notes down from the lecture I gave, and sure enough, people that were averaging $3,000 or $4,000 a day immediately started being able to do 10,000 a day just because of some rearranging of mindset.
100%. It's very interesting. You're in this space. My our mentor Brandon Dawson worked in, or he united the audio space and the optometrist. He helped them scale their businesses and get to the next level and create buying groups from them and stuff like that. It's really just changing that simple mindset is so impactful. So,
yeah, wonderful stuff. Tell us what you want to be remembered for when it's all said and done, Gus.
I want to be remembered as the guy that connected you to whatever it was you needed. I connect a lot of people. I know I help a lot, and I've done that for my whole life. I remember in my high school yearbook, one of my friends, and we're still friends today, wrote "Where's the party, Gus?" I always knew what was going on and how to connect people to what they wanted in life. So I'm really known as the connector.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I'm sure we'll be connecting people to you and vice versa as we go forward. How can we support you in that way? How can we get people to find you?
Tell them, go to the eventsguy.com. Check out all of our products we have there. I didn't even mention our other companies. We have multiple companies, and reach out to me. And if you know somebody in the utility industry, you know somebody that needs help with an event, whether it's just advice, I give a lot of free advice, or if you need next level, I actually the other day I designed an entire New Year's Eve party for someone, and in the course of 20 minutes. But
what would you say about your guest experience on the show? I wish you'd pulled a guitar down and played a riff for us, but
I don't have an amp sitting here, but it's been a fantastic experience. Bill, you're a delight to talk to. I hope we get to do things together in the future, and we occasionally get down to your neck of the woods, Atlanta. We've done a lot of events in Atlanta. I love your food scene down there. So it's been a fantastic. I think we have great energy on this.
Hey, we may get together that way one day. I just got invited to a Pakistani wedding the other day, so that's going to be my next event that I attend. That's something I haven't done before.
That's really cool. That's super exciting.
Yeah. So let me give you the final word. Talk to our audience for a second, then I'll come back and talk about a few things I'm doing.
All right. So, guys, if you need to be connected to someone, you need help with an event, you need to create an event to market your business. If you're in the utility space, look us up. Hit me on LinkedIn. I'm Gus Calabrese on LinkedIn, and let's see how I can help you get to the next level. And I will just say thank you, Dr. Bill, for having me on your show. It's been a fantastic time, and I appreciate this.
All righty. Thank you, Gus, for the final word. And I think that we can all benefit from utilizing your services. Those of us who put on events can always do it more professional and take the load and stress off of you. If you're a busy professional, you don't need to run them. Let the professionals run them. This Capture Freedom with the QR code above. This is kind of an intro to let people know about how to reach me. It goes to my digital business card on Ovu, and that's the URL it'll take you to, where you can find really two things. My Influencer podcast is featured on the drbillwilliams.tv website, along with the place you can get my books and find out more about what I've done in the past and where I'm going in the future. Where might that be? Well, I did retire from dentistry, Gus, and I don't really think I want to go back into doing teeth. Once I found out about the IT business, scaling up is a good idea. And so we're in 190 countries already, and we're bringing new products to the front with AI infused in each one of them. So this one's going to be interesting to you as you talk about digital presence and hybrid work that you do. This OConnect will have the ability for digital conferencing up to how many people would you like to put in a conference? What's the maximum you think you'd put in?
Oh, I have no limit.
Would you like 1 million people in one
I would love
conference?
1 million people at an event.
That's something that we can do. And better than that, it's got better audio and video quality than anything that's out there.
Excellent.
And better than that, it'll be able to do simultaneous language translation. You speak in English, they'll hear you in German, Hindi, Chinese, Russian all at once.
That's fantastic.
So we got products that are, state of the art, and I want to advise everybody that's listening, write down the link, and you may be able to get a free use of one for a period of time. We also have a lot of free products, things that are URL shorteners, things that are Google Analytic type products, so you can follow the website's progress and measure who's looking at them from what place. Use geofencing and all kind of things to measure and keep people from looking in if you don't want them in. And everything that we have is based on a culture of giving back to humanity. So we have products like Bless, where you can have charities funded, you can have startups funded, and it's a good way to go. I think people enjoy being part of something that's humanity-based, lifting up the underserved.
I love that.
So yeah, anything that you want to use, a lot of it's free. We'll welcome everybody to jump in and take a look at the free stuff, and all these links go to the same place, so don't have to worry. Hey, it's been a real pleasure today having you on, Gus. I learned a lot, and I think we got something going that we can connect together, and good luck in Europe.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I look forward to seeing you. Thank you, all of the people.